Good morning. My name is History Wes, and this is my channel. Welcome. Today I am building a city, something that I haven't tried to do in a long time. A city in the modern sense of the word, and also a city in creative, which I haven't played in a long time. Minecraft Creative. As you can see, I've played some before. Last night it took me about 2 hours to build the template for my city, just this much. So today I'll be working on infrastructure, which basically means streets. And I'm intending to shoot this as just one straight unedited piece of video and place it on my channel. If I have to pause or something, I'll do that, but otherwise I just plan on shooting straight through. So let me tell you about my project here. I decided to build a city after some YouTube I've been watching. I've been watching DallasMed65, who is a Minecraft YouTuber, and he has a long-standing, long-running world in which he is building a city. And he is building a city that is specifically a Minecraft city with his own ideas about how cities should run, and so it is a pedestrian city, pedestrian-only city. He's really good at designing buildings and coming up with all kinds of ways to make Minecraft things look like what they could be made into in vanilla. And he is doing that in vanilla survival. It's very impressive. Then after I started watching him, the YouTube algorithm began picking up a lot of other city builders, especially some by actual architects and engineers who are using Minecraft to design and build with. So all of this inspired me to do something I've been thinking about for a long time, which is making a city. Now, it's not really anything new for me. I used to draw out maps of imaginary cities when I was a kid. I used to try to illustrate cities from books that I had read, science fiction books mostly. And even as an adult, I've done some drawing out of some cities. When I went to college as an adult, I had originally thought about being a civil engineer, city planner. That path did not work out for me because of the mathematics involved. But when I started doing this, I thought, you know, I'm going to make a city, and rather than planning it out on something else, I'll do it in Minecraft, just like these guys that I had been seeing on YouTube. So here we are. Now, I originally created a world for my city that was a single biome plains world, because I wanted a little bit of landscape variation to work with. And that didn't work out because planes anymore after 1.18 Minecraft is not flat anymore. It's not even remotely flat. It's full of meadow biomes that are huge and extensive. So there really wasn't a flat area for me to start and get my footing. Since I'm a beginning builder, I needed this flat area. You know, I might be able to approach that rolling landscape as a more experienced builder. So I'm building on a flat world. And this is one that I created that has, you can see there are no structures and there are no spawns of any kind, so no sheep or cows running around. Okay, so this is going to be our main street, and our city is going to be a small one, or perhaps it would be better to say a town in the modern sense of the word. With maybe a population of 30 or 40,000. That's kind of what we're going for. And I have an idea that I'm going to base the city on, but I'm not sure how much of that idea I'm actually going to use, how much of this the city is going to resemble my idea. So at the moment, the name of the city is Promise City. That's a placeholder name. So here's what I'm thinking. I've written a book, a series of books actually, about a girl inventor named Astrid Maxim. That's the name of the series. Each of the books has her name in the title. The first book is Astrid Maxim and Her Amazing Hoverbike. And I've created a world for her that includes Maxim City. And the features of Maxim City are that it is a modern city in the southwestern United States, but it is artificially growth controlled, so they don't allow people to just build willy-nilly. And it's a city that was built to kind of artificially have some history by what they did was buy old buildings from old small towns around the Midwest and eastern part of the United States and brought old buildings that were due to be demolished and placed them in Maxim City. So they have kind of an artificial historical basis. And so that's what we're going to do here. We're starting in roughly the middle of the town, of the city. So this is going to be the intersection of Main Street and Pine, I think. Streets going east and west will be numbered, at least in the very center part of the city, and the avenues will go in the other direction. They'll go north-south, and at least for the main part, they will be named after trees. So this is a pretty normal layout in most places in the United States. It's a small town where I used to spend my summers with my grandparents, called Chelsea, Oklahoma. This is kind of the layout that it had, still has. 6th Street becomes a main street. That's also pretty common in Las Vegas, even. The main street is, I believe, 5th Street. So whatever naming convention gets thrown out as people turn whatever the central street is into Main Street. In Las Vegas, the avenues going the other way are named after presidents. Of course, those aren't the streets that everyone is familiar with. Everyone is familiar with the Strip, and that's that is actually Main Street in Vegas, and then when it gets out and goes south, it's actually outside of the town limits. That's when it becomes the Strip. And then in downtown Vegas, there is Fremont Street, named for John C. Fremont, not a president, but a presidential candidate, as well as being an explorer and a Civil War general. So we are placing in our sidewalk now. This is going to be just basic stone. We'll come through and we'll replace that probably, or rather texture it with stone bricks and or andesite at a later time. But for the moment, it's just going to be this. And the main sidewalk is 5 meters. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. It's kind of an arbitrary number. It just looked right. And that will probably vary by location too, as the buildings are put back a little bit. Okay, so this is one city block here. The city blocks are 71 meters or 71 blocks by 121 blocks, and that is not counting the gutter. And why are they 71 by 121? I don't really know. I heard one of the actual architects who was doing building cities and city blocks using Minecraft to say that that was the size, and I just went with it. At least I think that's what he said. I could be wrong. And I'm sorry, I don't remember who that YouTube Minecrafter / architectural engineer was. But if I find out, I'll put his name in the description. When you're looking at it now, it kind of looks too small to have any good-sized buildings in it. But when I first laid it out, it's just a square. It looked ridiculously big. So I don't know. And I'm going with these. I got the idea of street lamps from somebody on the internet, but I don't know who, and then I just changed them slightly. There's some that had a more curved shape, but it left them looking unsupported, so I tweaked them a bit for my own purposes. So 73 by 123 if you're including the block that has the gutters. fire spread is turned off in this world. As I said, so are mob spawnings. So are wandering trader spawnings. No phantoms. No structures at all. So there's no stronghold. No way to get to the end. Unless you build an end portal, which I think you can do in creative, but I'm not going to because I've got no interest in that. Unless I build Asteroid Maximum Space Plane. Anyway, this book that I wrote, or the series of books, Asteroid Maximum, there are so far 8 in the series, and they are available wherever you can buy ebooks, like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, and most of them are also available in paperback. Okay, let me come over here and try something. Okay. So go just quite a bit shorter like that. We can go like this and this to make our street signs. I've seen some really nice street signs as I was looking around, but they are all done in modded, and I want to do this in vanilla Minecraft. Maybe if I enjoy the process and I'm good at it, I'll do another one and modded later. Okay, so what's this look like? Or does it look better like this? I like the big one, and I'm going to use it, but I'm going to use those hanging signs sometime in the future. Main Street, this way. Oh, this is not Main Street. So this is oak. I think I said pine before, but I'm going to make pine the one at the other end of the block here. Yeah, that'll work. So how many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, lost count. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is that right? Looks about right. And I think I put street on that instead of avenue. Line Avenue. Street. This is my fire plug. If anybody has a vanilla Minecraft designed for a fire hydrant, let me know and I'll use it. Now these actually hover off of that. There we are. Okay. Could put full blocks up here. How would that look? It would like so. I would need to go 3. Which one is better? Let's see both. Benefits to both. Okay. If I did that, and let's see. And we got some bone meal and some glow ink. Oh, I need not bone meal. I need white dye. Okay. Yeah, that looks sharp. Which looks better? The white. Okay. Put a little Haynes sign on there. Down below. Okay. Yeah, that looks okay. So anyway, building a city is a long process, whether you're doing it on paper or in Minecraft. It's another reason that I've decided to build the city rather than mapping a new one out, because I'm a terrible artist. I cannot draw worth anything. While I can do diagrams like directly above the city, it's much more fun and interesting to create an actual city with buildings that you can see and move around and walk into. Have you ever tried to build a city in Minecraft? If you have, leave me a comment telling me about your successes or failures. I could definitely use any suggestions. And I thought I would be able to speed this up by, I got an anvil and I made an efficiency 5 shovel, but it doesn't do it like in survival with an efficiency 5 shovel. You should just be able to, but not in creative, I guess. I can double click, spam click like this, and it speeds it up a bit. Anyway, in traditional American cities, cross streets are avenues, and they are named after trees: oak, pine, vine, spruce. In my book Astrid Maxim, she actually lives on Acacia Avenue, so it's Minecraft appropriate. Not that I plan to do anything with actual acacia wood on that street, but and on the regular streets, like I mentioned, as most towns in America, First, Second, Third, Fourth, Fifth Street, etc. Fifth Street or Sixth Street usually ends up being Main Street. Sixth Street will be our Main Street, and they continue. Let's see, we're facing east. So the north to south in our case are going to be the avenues, and they can continue off in either direction. The streets, which are running east and west, will go 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 onward. You make the other way, you get down to 1, and then once you reach First Street, you have to have a new naming convention. And in Maxim City, there are the names of scientists. There's an Einstein Street and Tesla Street, etc. Those of you who are only familiar with the name Tesla from the car, Nikola Tesla was a Slavian-American inventor, one of the greatest inventors of all time. Invented lots of electrical things, which is why the car is named for him. He's patented the second most inventions of any person in American history, 700 and some. The first inventor, patentor, the person who patented the most inventions was Thomas Edison, inventor of movies and the light bulb and so many other things. And all of our streets except for Main Street and maybe, I think all of our streets except Main Street will be 2-lane streets, 2-lane roads. Main Street will be 4 lanes. Okay, so this is the block inside the gutter, the street light block, or the street light row, and that's where our crossing walk is. Crosswalk, or zebra walk, as you say in some places. distance. Zebra crossing, I believe, is the term. In the United States, we call it a crosswalk. Because you walk across. Sadly, it would make more sense if there was a cross there in the street for you to walk across. But naming systems are strange, but interesting. Okay. This is going to end up being an odd. There's going to be an odd spot where it doesn't quite match up, so I want to make sure that's in the center of the block. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3. One. Yep. We'll just do that. That not only there's some continuity here, it tells us exactly where the center of the block is going this way. And I'm probably going to be quiet a portion of the time because famously I cannot work and talk at the same time very well, at least. In fact, exploited by my students in my 29 years of teaching. I am a newly retired school teacher, in case you did not know. And my students always knew they could get me talking about something, and whatever work we were doing would wait. Of course, they didn't know that I planned that into my lesson plans. I knew I was going to end up talking about some side tangent. Usually about some remarkable human being. Usually when we're studying the time period of the turn of the last century, I would be talking about Theodore Roosevelt. We ended up talking about the World War II era, and there's so many people that I would talk about. Eddie Lamar, for instance, the movie star, who had a vital role in the development of Wi-Fi. A lot of people might do this using some tools like World Edit, which I'm not. Number one, to keep it simple and maybe a little more challenging, I want to keep it in vanilla Minecraft. And secondly, I don't know how to use World Edit or any of those tools anyway. And I'm guessing I would probably have a difficult time, if not an impossible time, installing it on my current computer setup, which is an iMac. My computer is a 2019 27-inch iMac with an Intel i5 processor, a Radeon 580 graphics coprocessor, graphic card, if you will, with 8 gigs of dedicated RAM, and I have a total of regular RAM of 40 gigabytes, not including the GPU RAM. So, fairly beefy computer for a Mac. I've recently downloaded No Man's Sky, although I haven't really played it very much. It runs great on this machine. I downloaded Mad Games Tycoon 2, which according to the paperwork on Steam has minimum requirements of an M1 processor. It works fine on this. So, of course, one of the main things I like about Mac, one of the main reasons I'm using it, is that gaming is not the primary thing that I do with my computer. First and foremost, my job now is as an author, a writer, and things like Time Machine make a big important part of my decision to use this computer. Time Machine is a built-in program on Macs that automatically backs up software and makes it super easy to restore any deleted files or lost files. It saved my life a couple of times. on my previous Mac, during a storm, there was a surge and my hard drive got damaged. And I was able to just pull out everything. I had to reformat the hard drive and just everything, but everything was there, stored on my backup drives. So I have 2 backup drives. My computer and all of its files, folders, and mini drives are backed up to 2 very large hard drives. Every hour, alternating. At 1 o'clock, it'll back up to one drive, at 2 the other, at 3 o'clock back to the first. And should I accidentally lose a file, I can simply go into Time Machine, pick the file, and it automatically puts it back where it was. Okay. So our stream is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 blocks wide. 2. Perfectly matches up. I've always liked city games. One of the first computer games I ever played, way back in the very dawn of computing, personal computing, when I was a young man, like 1984-ish. I think they're about 1980. No, it could have been 84. Back when I had a Commodore 64 computer, which was not my first computer, by the way, but back when I had the Commodore 64, I believe they came out with the first SimCity back then. Maxis SimCity. And then I had a version, I know I had a version on my Amiga later than that. That would have been about 87. The Amiga was a highly advanced computer for its time. It's laughable today almost, but it was impressive. It was the first multitasking, multi-threading computer, personal computer anyway. And I think it was probably the first computer that had an actual graphics coprocessor. And it had 3 coprocessors, and one was for graphics primarily, one was for sound primarily. Anyway, I played SimCity. I used to love building cities, and I still got a couple of city building programs on my computer that I play around with occasionally. I tend to find that they're either too complicated, they go into unnecessary depth, or they're too simple. There's the game Cities, which I've played, and it seems overly complicated. And then there are a couple of little SimCity clones that I've played recently, and they're fine for casual gaming. You just want to pop on and do one or two little things, play 10-20 minutes while you're waiting for something. But they're overly simple. You can't do enough to make your city your own. You just have to build whatever they are telling you to build. Ideally, a great game should be one that you can do everything, but you don't have to. You can do as much as you want. A game that's a perfect example of that, although not a building game, is a game I mentioned a few minutes ago, Mad Games Tycoon. It is a game in which you run a game company, a software game company. You can pattern yours after a fully software game company like Mojang or Maxis or whatever, or you can create a Nintendo or Atari, and you can compete with other companies to design and build games and game consoles. And you can do all kinds of stuff. You can design the games, you can make them as name them whatever you want to. You hire your programmers and stuff. There are several games out there. Game Developer Tycoon is one. But Game Developer Tycoon is like super simple compared to Mad Games Tycoon. In Mad Games Tycoon, you can take over your competitors, and they don't just get absorbed into you. You can run them as subsidiaries, for instance, and you could micromanage everything they do, but you don't have to. You can just turn their settings on, and then they'll run themselves according to what you want them to do. Or you can put them out of business entirely. You can transfer intellectual property to and from your subsidiaries. Stuff like that. So you can get as in-depth as you want to get, and yet not have to go that in-depth if you don't want to. You don't have to build game consoles. You can just build the games. Or you could just build the game consoles and get other companies to build the games for you by designing game engines and have them purchase them from you. So that's kind of what SimCity was. It had that perfect balance that you could do just about everything. But you didn't have to. You could set it to automatically do that. At least in the sandbox mode. They were going to make a game that was more like a sim neighborhood, and it eventually is what became The Sims. They went in a little further at first and had a house that expanded out as The Sims evolved into more of a neighborhood setting. I think you can still find trailers for the game that it was going to be, though. I don't remember if it was called Sim Neighborhood, but I'm thinking that it was. If that's wrong, correct me in the comments below. So this will be a fairly time-consuming project. As you can see, it's taken me just, probably 4 hours just to get the streets built around this one city block. That's okay. This also is a world that has an extensive, there's so much dirt, and then there's stone. I forget what they call this. But yeah, there's like 60 layers of rock underneath there. So we can build underground parking garages and things like that, sewer system. We can get as in-depth as we want to, or as I want to. I toyed with the idea of using regular concrete rather than concrete powder. That kind of smooth, surface has an appeal, but in the end I decided to go with the concrete powder for realism. Although there are a lot of old little towns. I mentioned Chelsea, Oklahoma. It, for instance, has some of their very oldest streets, like part of 6th Street, that are paved in brick. And then later that was covered over, tragically, with asphalt. So we might decide to do a street in brick, or a part of a street. In brick. My grandparents lived on 6th Street in Chelsea, in a huge old house that was built of red brick, and on the portion of the street that still had red brick street, the house had been built originally as a hotel, like in the late 1800s. and I believe it was built when Oklahoma was still Indian Territory. And that beautiful old house, which should have been preserved as a historic building, is not there anymore. It's torn down. There's just a blank spot. And sadly, there are a lot of towns where the old main streets are just crumbling and falling apart. These beautiful old turn-of-the-century buildings. They look a lot like Main Street in Disneyland. I mean, that is where the idea for Main Street Disneyland comes from. All those buildings are just falling into ruin. And that was kind of the idea for Maxim City in my book, that they would buy old buildings like that and refurbish them, rebuild them, and move them to Maxim City. Excuse me. Specifically in Maxim City, they have a Maxim City Cinema, which was an old Main Street cinema built in 1922 in a town in Kansas, according to the text, and then moved to Maxim City and rebuilt with seating for 122 viewers or patrons. My grandparents' town of Chelsea had an old movie theater in the middle of the block. That would have been about the right size, but it was closed down long before I ever had an opportunity to go to it. But nearby Veneta, Oklahoma, at one time had somebody had taken the old theater on Main Street and fixed it up. And once when I was back visiting as an adult with my two children, they had opened it up, and we went and saw Disney's Tarzan in that theater. Now, since then, I think the theater has either been torn down or the building has been closed again and maybe remodeled into something else, because they have a regular modern movie theater in Veneta. But that was a cool experience. I vividly remember that. I wanted to get out of my grandparents' hair for a little while. They were quite old by then, and I was staying. Oh no, I was staying with my aunt by then. So my grandparents were too old to have a couple of little kids running around the house. Actually, I think that may have been after my grandfather died, and my grandmother was in an assisted living facility. But in any case, I was staying with my aunt, and I took my two kids out with me one evening. We went to Veneta and had dinner at McDonald's, and they happened to have Disney's Tarzan in their Happy Meal toys. So they got Tarzan Happy Meal toys, and then we went down the street and watched Disney's Tarzan in this little old theater. I'm sure they don't remember, but I do. That was the summer of 2000, the year 2000. That was the year my family took a very large trip completely across the Southwest. Starting southern Nevada, we went down to Arizona. We went to Tombstone, historic Tombstone, Arizona. Then we cut across to New Mexico and went to Carlsbad Cavern. drove the breadth of Texas, stopped briefly at the Alamo, and then went to Houston and spent a whole day at the Space Center in Houston, which was one of my childhood dreams. Then we drove up north to Oklahoma to visit with relatives for a week or so. My wife flew home after a week or 10 days because she had to go back to work. But being a school teacher, of course, I had the summer, so I stayed another 10 days with the kids on the road. And after we left Oklahoma, we drove west on Route 66, saw a lot of old Route 66 locations, stopped at Meteor Crater in Arizona and Petrified Forest, and then finally spent a morning and portion of an afternoon at Grand Canyon, South Rim. It was a pretty amazing trip and eventful. Everything that could possibly go wrong on that trip went wrong. We had multiple car trouble, lost my credit card, and there's so many notable things about that trip that I will remember forever. That was in the days before iPads, so we didn't have something like that for the kids to play with, but what we did have was a little TV that had a DC plug-in for the car and a built-in VCR. So we had some Disney movies, and we at that time McDonald's was selling Ronald McDonald cartoons. They were really weird, but my kids liked them, and we bought those. But the movie that got the most use being played over and over and over again behind me in the back while I drove was Mulan. Now there's a nice Minecraft sunrise. Go down to the other side. Is that what we had over there? No, over there we ended with 1. This is the longer side. And over here, we had 2 that had 2. Okay. So we had 2 spaces of gray. Is that right? That should match up. Two. Yeah. Is everything else matching up? That's now. It's further in. Did I mess up? Yes, I did. Okay. My crosswalk is too far out. And so that means if I were building my main survival world and I came across something like this, I would just say, oh well, I'm going to make it as close as I can be. But this is a different situation. I kind of have a different expectation of perfection. Alright, so 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, yeah, that's. And that matches up. Okay. I think we'll go ahead and do this intersection. So as I mentioned, I'm doing this on a Mac, 27-inch. I'm recording using OBS, and I do my editing in iMovie, which for this will basically just be chopping a little bit of nothing at the beginning before I start, and probably the end after I say goodbye, and then I will post it. Hopefully, this inspires you, if you are wanting to build a city, to do so. think it's going to be fun. I plan to go ahead and do more recordings like this. Like I said, I originally thought of doing it as a stream, but again, I can't do two things at once, apparently. I can't build and talk, let alone build and talk and look at people responding in live time. Okay, and then that crosswalk will be over here. Oh, no, it won't. It will be inside here. Okay. Because this is going to be the other curb. So, oh, it will be outside the curb. Yeah, that's right. And this will be street 2. Okay, so crosswalk or zebra crossing, which is a term I like. I think that's also used in Australia, I think. Do you guys see that in Canada? I would be interested to know. Okay. Yep, that's how that goes. After I'm done here for the morning, I'm going to take a break and have some lunch or breakfast. I haven't eaten yet, so it will technically be breakfast, although I think I will be eating not necessarily breakfasty food. I think I'll have some pasta. Or maybe a peanut butter sandwich. That sounds kind of good. And I will eat that while I watch some Hermitcraft, hopefully. Huge Hermitcraft fan. I watch all the Hermits. And there are some other YouTube Minecrafters that I'm also enjoy. I mentioned Dallas Med a minute ago. Oh, this is backwards. Okay. And this is the sidewalk over here on that street. And zebra crosswalk is here. I would be interested in knowing some other British or Australian or Canadian terms for other street parts or things associated with the city street, maybe. For instance, fire hydrant. A lot of times they are referred to as fire plugs. Here in the US, I think in some places they at least used to be called Johnny pumps. I'd be interested in some alternate terms for those. Street lights or what am I going to use for a stop sign? That'd be a good suggestion. Stop or yield signs. Banners, I guess. Unfortunately, you can't get a whole word on a banner. Let's see what we got here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 blocks. Okay. 2, 3, 4, It occurs to me that I could have just built this on top of the land instead of digging it in. Then I would have, when I got to building the buildings, I would have to build them a block higher and add blocks to the landscape. And I don't have to do that now. So then I would be removing and placing. Of course, I'm removing and placing the streets here, but then I would be removing and placing in the buildings. And some buildings are going to be built up anyway. I don't know. I've already started, so that's decided, I guess. So I said tentatively it's called Promise City. Promise City sounds like a generic name. It kind of is. But it was also used in a game some years ago, back in the 80s when Dungeons and Dragons had just come out. The company who made it back then, TSR, who was later bought by Wizards of the Coast, who was later bought by Hasbro, produced other sets of role-playing games in different settings. And rather than using the exact same rules, they just had new rules for each role-playing game. I think their most successful was Star Frontiers, but that came later. The first one was Gamma World, which was a science fiction adventure set in a world ravaged by nuclear war and maybe other apocalypses as well. And then after that came Boot Hill, which was a game based on the Wild West. And not only could you use the rules to roleplay being an Old West character and make up your own stories, using the rules you could actually recreate actual gunfights, like the gunfight at the OK Corral. It came with a map divided up into a square grid pattern, and you have little cardboard counters with little images of gunfighters on them, and you can place them exactly where the gunfighters stood in real gun battles. But their default setting that they developed was an Old West county, and I think it was not described what state it was in. It was kind of supposed to be placeable wherever you wanted to place it. And the city, the county seat, if you will, in that fictional county was the city of Promise City. And it does have an Old West flavor. So that name was inspired by the game Boot Hill. But, I mean, it also fits the situation. Kind of. This is the promise that I might actually be able to create the city that I want to if I have the time and effort devoted into it and stick with it. We shall see. I mentioned that I recently retired. Technically, my first retirement day is the day after tomorrow. But being a teacher, I was off over this summer anyway. And there are a lot of people who told me that I would have too much time on my hands, and that has not been the case. I planned out the things that I want to do, and so far, I have not had time to do everything that I wanted to do. I bought a new electric bicycle. I've been bike riding. I have not been to, my plan was to go bike riding every day, and I have not been bike riding every day because, not because of the time, but because of the heat here in southern Nevada. On a day when it's 110 degrees out, you cannot go out bike riding, especially not with a black bike helmet on a black bike, I might add. So my threshold is 100 degrees. If it is under 100 degrees during the day, at the high for the day, it's under 100 degrees, then that evening, when it's cooled down about 10 degrees, I will go bike riding. I still come home all sweaty, but that was what I've been doing. And so I'm getting about 140 miles on my bike now, so that's what, 28 days of 5-mile rides. And that's about what I usually ride, 5 to 6 miles. There's a bike trail about a mile away from my house that leads off into the desert toward the mountains, and it goes, the bike trail goes, I don't know, maybe hundreds of miles. It goes completely to another town, excuse me, over the mountains, but part of it forms a little loop that's about 4 miles. So I have to take certain surface streets to reach the trail, and then I take that loop and then the surface streets back. So it comes out to just under 6 miles, I think. Unfortunately for me, the main cross street from my home street was just reworked. They started it the day that the school started in the last school year, and they finished it just like about the same day that school started this year. And this was only a stretch of road about 2 to 3 miles long. But they ripped it completely out and widened it and added bike lanes. That's the important thing. And crosswalks. There were crosswalks, but there were no lights to stop cars. And there has been at least one death of a child walking across that street. So, thankfully, kids can get to school safer, and I can ride my bike safer. But anyway, that's just one of the things I haven't been able to do as much as I want. And the other activities that I planned have been just as difficult to get to. I plan to do a lot of scrapbooking. I've got tons and tons of pictures and mementos to scrap, which is something I used to do years ago and haven't done in a long time. But although I've been to the store and I bought some supplies and I'm trying to get organized, I still haven't actually sat down and been able to make a scrapbook. I haven't even played Minecraft as much as I want, and I definitely have not been able to write as much as I thought I would. Although I do put that my writing does take precedent over any of the other activities, because I'm hoping to make it a second career now that my first career is gone. And that's going to be the crossing right there. Right. Yep. 2, 3. Should be an easy way to determine how far we've got. We've got 1, 2, 3, 7 stripes going across. 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I measured it correctly. Anyway, so far, life has been preventing me from getting everything accomplished that I wanted to. Just everyday things like doing the dishes and taking care of pets and making dinner. Which is my job since I'm home and my wife is working now. And I need to take over the other jobs that she used to do when she was the primary stay-at-home person. And that includes things like washing the dishes and clothes. Although she will always jump on that if there's anything that's like not completed. When she sees it, she'll jump on it. So I need to stay ahead of her. The long and the short of that being, I don't have as much time in my retirement as everybody else seemed to think I would have. But I do make good use of my time, mostly. I haven't even been able to sit down and figure out how to play No Man's Sky yet. Which I wasn't even planning to buy, but it was on sale for half off on Steam. So, yeah, it looks amazing. It's like Minecraft in space, basically. In a very good way. I even have not played Minecraft nearly as much as I want to. I used to play every day after school, but I think I played yesterday, but before that I don't think I'd played for a whole week, which is just a long time. Maybe it was the day before yesterday. But anyway, I started playing in 2017, and I really haven't taken a break from it ever. Anyway, I just say it right now, if there's anybody still listening or watching this video, if you liked it and think it deserved a rating, please rate it, give it a thumbs up. I appreciate it. And if you want to see me continue this series, hit the subscribe button. Stop and crack my knuckles here. I shouldn't have been clicking that much anyway. I should just be holding it like this. It actually puts stuff down slightly faster than I walk. So I have to lift my middle finger up every so often to kind of catch up. Okay. We'll save that middle one for last. So I plan to play for 2 hours. I'm almost at that point. And I think we'll just about finish the streets around our city block here. In a way, I'm looking forward to building buildings, constructing buildings, but in a way I'm not, because I'm not that great of a builder. Oh, I'm definitely going to copy buildings by others. Which I think is perfectly acceptable, as long as you say you copied them from someone else. I've played some mod packs that are have many more construction items, but I found them, for me, to be overwhelming at times because there's so much there. Plus, I don't want to have to worry about a mod pack being updated or not. I just stay with vanilla Minecraft. I should be safe in that I'll always be able to come back to it. Okay, I've got 5 stripes. Not counting the crosswalk. Okay, this one we've got the additional situation of this street being wider than the one at that end. So over here we had that one dot. Oh, okay. I totally budged that up, as they say. Messed it up because we don't have the dotted line going through the intersection. Instead, we will have another crosswalk over here, a zebra crossing. So, in your country, do they call them dotted lines? Or do they have some other clever name for them? Oh, very good. How did I screw that up? So, if I follow this, will I end up on that dot over there? I do. Lovely jubbly. Now, usually in intersections, there's something painted here, but I don't know what it is. Some kind of yellow thing. I think it varies from town to town. In Las Vegas, when Fremont Street was a street you could actually drive on still, part of it is, but a good portion of it is turned into pedestrian-only thing. But back when it was still drivable in the intersections, like here, they inlaid into the cement a mosaic depicting Las Vegas themed items like a deck of cards or hand of cards or a couple of large dice or something like that. Mostly gambling related, or as they say in Las Vegas, gaming related. Because gambling has a negative connotation, but gaming is fun. I don't have anything against gaming unless somebody can't control themselves. Like most people who live in Southern Nevada where gambling is illegal, I don't gamble. A lot of people are surprised when they visit towns in Nevada to find out that even in things like convenience stores, 7-Eleven, there are slot machines. So there's plenty of, at the grocery store there are slot machines. There are plenty of opportunities to gamble. And if you have an addiction, this place will dry you up and spit you out, or chew you up and spit you out, whatever the metaphor is I'm trying to go for there. But like most people who live here, I don't gamble. I think this is correct. The street will continue on, but this will be the corner. Right. Starting right here. Yes. Although when my wife and I were in Arizona a few weeks ago, we did buy a lottery ticket. We didn't win, though. If we did, I would still be doing exactly the same thing I'm doing now. But I would be doing it on a more expensive computer. And I would have a waiter bringing me a Diet Coke and my private chef fixing me that lunch I was talking about. Alright, I think that's it for today. So that seems like we made almost no progress at all, but we built our city street here. I hope you enjoyed this time, and if you watched this video to the end, I hope you come back and see us again. Let me take a quick screenshot here. There we go. My name is History Wes, and as always, keep on Minecrafting.